The school there? Where? That should be Shalom Taki. I'm sorry you guys are a little late. Okay. Parshas Terumah. We'll see how we go with just the normal things of Terumah. Then we'll see. I don't want to mix in the other ones because we have the other Seidos yet. Ben Shem says to Moshe Rabbeinu, V'yikru li Terumah. And he doesn't tell him why he needs the Terumah. Because the idea is, in a way, he wants the Yidden to recognize who's the giver and who's the taker. The Rabbeinu Shalom is the one who gave it all to us. And now he's asking back for something. And that's our chiyuv, to give him back. That's he wanted to see. I'm not telling you have to build a Beis Hamikdash and nothing. After I finish telling you I want money from you, then I tell you why I want the money. Normally, if you want to make an appeal, you tell about what you want to build and this and that, and then you say I want money from you. But here you say I want money from you. That's the first thing. And what do I need? And yet he gives all the things that he needs. And it's interesting that throughout the things that we need here, it does not have any flour. You know, it talks about, you'll say, well, flour is like a korban. Like, they don't have behemoths either in here. No one's donating behemoths. Yet you have Shem El Amor is yet donated, right? The Ketores HaSamim is donated. So we have the Ketores, we have the Psalmim, and the Shemin. So why is not Lechem, for the Lechem Aponim mentioned here? I mean, don't forget, you're going into a midbar. There's no flour on sale over there. You know, obviously they had to go buy it somewhere along the line someplace, or for some reason, eventually gave them enough brains to take enough flour with them, or whatever it is. But that's about, but whatever it is, the shayla is why is that not part of what he was told to give. That was, they had to go get it, like. Okay. So what it's really accomplishing is this. On all these things, the B'nai says, I want it from you because you're the only ones that are giving it. So for instance, what do you call it? The menorah. The menorah represents Torah, right? The Yidden won't learn Torah. There's no Torah in the world. The Ben Shem can't learn Torah for you. It's not going to happen. The only thing is you got to learn Torah. You're not learning Torah. There's no Torah. Obel, panose, money. That's the Rabbeinu Shalom. That's not you. So at the bracha I give the money. I give the what do you call it? So if I'm giving you only a certain amount of money, and I give you a certain amount of chiyuvim to what to do with that money, then that money is going to be sufficient to do all those chiyuvim. So therefore, if I gave you, I told you have to have lechem aponim, right? And you have to have wheat, obviously, whatever it is. And if you donate it, so then you gave it. No, I got to give it. So therefore, it's sufficient. Whatever I give you to buy it, or however you're going to get it, is going to be sufficient to get enough whatever you need. Told you build yeshivas, whatever you have, whatever you ever collect, that's going to build the yeshiva. If it's not going to build the yeshiva, then you didn't do the job. But that's the advice is, but that doesn't mean, so I once said that, and the guy took it to mean, well, if God's taking care of it, I don't have to give you anything. It's God's problem, right? No. If you do your part, God makes sure it's going to be enough. If you don't give what you can give, then there's not going to be enough because you didn't give. But whatever I asked you to give and you gave it, then that's going to be enough. Okay. So that's why you didn't donate the flour. Okay. We'll talk about the thing then. Okay. You should make an Aron. It's the first thing, and they give you sizes to the Aron. Now this is the Aron itself is a nes b'etzim without negasa teres. You have, how do you carry the Aron? You carry the Aron with badim, with big sticks, and the badim are inside into tabois. What are the tabois made out of? Let's see, where does it say? The tabois are made out of gold, pure gold. What happens with pure gold if you put something and you're going to pull on it? It's going to stretch. So you're not going to lift anything up off the floor, right? It's going to stretch. So it has to lift, okay? That's one thing. Secondly, what's the weight of what's in here? So now what do you have? You have luchas, okay? So Edel Yeshua leader, one of our colleagues like years ago, went to measure what it is. He took the Rosh Hashiva's size of an amma, which is 21.25 inches. And whatever it is, an amma and a half, whatever, and we know the Gemara, it's a tefach thick. And it came out to approximately 5,000 pounds of solid gold. Gold, at the weight of that size gold, solid gold, will be weighing about 5,000 pounds. What is the luchas made out of? Sapphire. You have 2 luchas of amma lama, and what do you call it there? Weighing it, looking up the weight of, what do you call it? And it came out to another 5,000 pounds. They had approximately about 10,000 pounds in the arm without knowing what the kruvim weighed. Now, with the kruvim could have been solid, could have been loose. It doesn't say. It doesn't say how much you made out of. The menorah says you made out of. It's not going to weigh more than what they call the kikar zov. But how much zov went into the oven? You don't tell you how much it went into the oven. So we know how much went into the total binion, but we don't know how much actually went into the oven. So whatever it is, but 10,000 pounds, 4 people can't fit 10,000 pounds. If it's 2,500 pounds a person, it ain't going to happen, right? And the din is nice. So you're right, the organ doesn't need anybody. The organ can go flying by a kite and we just hold on for the ride. I mean, you're right. But it's called noises. It carries the ones that carry it. That means that somehow they're called carriers for some reason. So I think that they have to at least attempt to carry the oven. In other words, they kvetch to lift it, they're straining themselves, and it all of a sudden takes off, whatever it is there. And that's how it goes, how the oven would. And there's a lot of things in the oven that the badim never leave the oven because they always have to be ready to move. Now, the badim, to be able to carry it, obviously you have to have distance and therefore they were at the short ends of the oven, not at the long ends, doing the width of the oven, so people can actually fit in there to carry it. It also, they were able to be put down. It's like the going from over there to lift it up. Somehow that much room they have, because later on it tells you when you're putting in the oven into the Beis Hamikdash, into the Mishkan, you have to put the badim down. So that means that then when you're within, you lift up the badim. So therefore the badim were like movable in that sense, but they never left the oven. They always with the oven, because the oven has to always be able to be moved to go wherever Torah goes, wherever you're going to go, that's where Torah goes. And therefore that's always with you. And what the kruvim actually looked like, according to the Gemara, mashma, it was like in a way pornographic. Yosis halayach elikoich im soischosan al kala. And that's I guess the biggest picture of Ahava, that Shayach, some soischosan al kala. and that's Yosef Halayich Alakoyach. And the thing over there, so that's what it was over there. But the Goyim would say, oh, you see, the Jews are pornographic and all the thing there. So when the Romans actually broke in, or whatever it is there, when the Romans didn't have it in the second Beis Hamikdash, there was no Aron. But by Nebuchadnezzar was also hidden before. But even before then, when the talks about anything there, it separated. That there was in a time of war or in time of what do you call it, or something that it shouldn't have, they were separate and they stood on the sides. One was supposed to be a man, one was a woman. And basically, and the Rabbeinu Shalom and all the Nevuahs for Moshe Rabbeinu after the Mishkan was built came over only there, and the only time Moshe Rabbeinu, the Rebbeinu spoke to Moshe Rabbeinu, and for 37 years he didn't talk to him because there was Klal Yisrael was a Cherem, so he didn't talk to Moshe Rabbeinu at all. Okay. Then you made the shulchan, that's what we said there, and the part of the shulchan, like we said, it's part of the shulchan. V'nasat al shulchan lechem ponim lefonai tomid. The lechem atonim never leaves. We had to eat them every week, so you would push off, as you were pushing the new one on, the old one would come off. And that's the way that they had it, so the shulchan always had the lechem atonim on it. And it was never without lechem upon. Then you have the menorah. That you make it out of water. There's a design to it, and it's an interesting halacha. Kol zman it's not made out of zahav. There is no halacha of the shape of the menorah. You can have any type of 6 or 7 things going out of it, whatever it is. It doesn't have any buttons, any flowers, any cups. It has nothing. Doesn't have anything of these things. Doesn't need it. When it's zohav, you're mechuyev to have these 3 things. Well, Shiva said a simple pshat is that until it becomes choshuv, that everybody wants it, at that point you have to have a geder how it's supposed to be. Until then, this is Gabi in the name of Kiruv. Until then, you just get everybody in to be frum. Keep Shabbos, they keep Shabbos, they carry keys, this, that. At least they keep Shabbos, they come to Shul Shabbos, this. Get them in here. You can't tell them to travel on Shabbos. You can't even beguile them to come on Shabbos. But l'maaseh, we don't check your pockets. We don't check your, what he calls, come to shul. That's the thing. We got to get the people in. Once we have them in shul, now when they're coming already, now we got to know, you're not allowed to carry, you're not allowed to do this, you're not allowed to do that, you're not allowed to do that. Now I need form. Now I need rules. Now I need what he calls. There's also maybe to understand in this the same type of lesson in the Gemara, I think it is, where the menorah was made out of different things. The original, after the Hashmonaim took over, they didn't make a gold menorah right away. They didn't have enough gold. They were too poor to have gold. So it says they made it out of wood or stone. It's machlekes. Wood or stone. Wood or stone, you don't make a precision instrument with. You make a table, you make a bench, you make a statue, whatever it is there. But you cannot gonna make a knife out of those things. Why? Because they're grubber things. So it's a tool. But it's a tool that's not precision. So this sort of says in Gemara, Nesashru, they became richer. So they made out of metal. They became richer. They made it out of silver. They became richer. They made it out of gold. Those are the madrigas. That's what it said there. Now, the question that always bothered me on that Gemara was if they became richer. They were talking about physical richness. They always had metal, because after the first battle, when they killed 100,000 Greeks, they had all their weapons. You could melt it down to make one menorah. I mean, it didn't take much to make a menorah. I mean, I think it's elavos. That's not what it means by rich. Rich means it's how we appreciate Torah. What do you mean how you appreciate Torah? So I'll tell you levels of how I passed through life. When I was a kid, a guy would bring an ask a shaila to the rabbi, and the rabbi would tell him an answer and say, you do this, the reason for it is this. Rabbi, please don't mix me up with any reasons, just tell me yes or no. I'm not interested in the reasons. It's a tool, it's a grubber tool, you eat on it, that's it, I don't want to know nothing more. Nothing more. Nisashru, they got to say, I want to understand the Svarah. I want to learn Amor, Ablat Gemara, to something like that. Anything there. So I want to know. So became an union of metal. We can make a precision instrument. I want the sharpness. Okay, we made the menorah thing, but is it a job for a good Jewish boy? No, it's not. Rabbanon is not a job for a good Jewish boy. Midaf lernen, but it's not a job that become a Rebbe or a Rav. No, that's not a job for a good Jewish boy. Then they got richer and they found out you make a living. Not such a good living, but a living. And it's a living of a Rabbanos, a Rav, a Frumkeit. Okay, that's silver. You came in the thing there. But it's as I say, it's a bare living. It become more that all of a sudden everybody wants it. Everybody wants daf yomi. I understand from after I attended one of the starts, and then I see the daf yomi of Rishalmi is booming. Now, guys want Rishalmi. What do you guys want Rishalmi? You never learned Rishalmi in their lives. The Rebbe didn't learn Rishalmi. What do you want with Rishalmi? All of us, we want Torah. We want Torah. Everybody wants Torah. What do you do for a living? Oh, I have a business. I'm an accountant. I'm a this. I'm a lawyer. I'm learning the whole time. Everybody wants it. Everybody wants it. Now it's gold. Now it has no use. Gold is the one metal that the only thing you do with it is build adornments, is jewelry. There's nothing, you don't need it, maybe for your teeth, but that's also done, I think, because of they wanted to have that's called an adornment in some way. You open up your mouth and the teeth shine. I don't know of any reason why they would want gold teeth. But anyway, that's about the only thing you have with gold. Silver, there's things to make with silver. And platinum, which is maybe more expensive than gold, is the idea. It's used for airplanes, it's used for jet mounting. There's a physical use for it. Gold is not a physical use. Gold's physical use is beauty. So therefore it reaches that madrega, it became everybody wants it as beauty. When it reaches that madrega, we have to make sure there are guidelines. We have to know, they have to show that there's one Torah, everybody has it, the rules are the same for everybody. That's a very important part. Now, do you see the word Nediv over here? Yeah. I forgot to say this before, but the union of Nediv Lev. What's a Nediv Lev? It's called Sheyidvenu Liboy. And that somehow like charitable, this and that. It's a funny part. The Nesiim gave the Avnei Noyam and the Avnei Meluyim, and they also gave the Shemel Amor and the Psomim. So those are the expensive items. They're very expensive. So that they gave. They're talking about in the millions and the millions of dollars. The Gemara in Kedushin has the Meiser with Dam Ben Esina. On one stone was about $500,000 profit. So in talking about how much, they're talking about the stone which costed the millions. That's one stone. You're talking about 12 of them. And you're talking about that thing. They took, the Bnei Shalom took out the Yud from their name of Nisim in Parshas Pekudei. In Parshas, no, not in what do you call it? What's the one before Pekudei? Vayakel, yeah. And Vayakel, they took out the Yud from there. It comes back together, not Parshas Nosei, they put it back in the Yud. That means you were not a Nediv Lev. Don't make any sense. What was the Nediv Lev? If you take a look in the amount of monies that actually were donated, which is in Parashat Pekudei, the Pekudei HaMishkan, it counts how many Kikrei Zohav there was. And I think it was 15 of them, not even a full 16. I'm sorry, 30. 29 kikeh v'shvameyus shloshim shekel. So under 30, just under 30. So figure count 30. How much is a kikeh? 3,000 dinrei zohov. Take the minak bekodesh, it's double, so 6,000 dinrei zohov. So you have 6,000 times 30, right? Divided by 600,000, right? And what do you come out with? It comes out approximately, if you give 25, in the end, each year will give 1 dinar zohov, that will be way overboard. Besides, I mean, and that will include all the other things that you could possibly give. So of course, silver is one is 25 silver, so obviously you understand that I didn't have to give over. So we're talking about, we don't even have a full dinner zohar that you got to give to be considered a nediv lev. And yet the guys who gave millions of dollars, they're not nediv lev. What's it mean? A nediv lev is someone that's totally involved in the building. I don't need you. I need you to give. That's all. I don't need you to. The builders, we got builders. We got the guys there. I want you to come and tell me, what are you doing today? What are you building today? And you tell me, I'm building this and this. And I say, how much do you need for that? Oh, we need X amount. Okay, you make my cheshbon, divide by 600,000. What's my cheshbon? 3 dinars kesef. Here they are. And I'm free, and I'm going there. But I came to check what you need, and then the next day I'm back again, right? So the second day we're building the rest of the stuff, and whatever it is there, and we get the rest of the money from you, and that's it. You don't come the third day. At the end of the second day, we told everybody to stop coming. So they were involved, right? What did the Nisim do? The Nisim came with very expensive items. Nothing really for the Mishkan that's going to be permanently in the Mishkan. Okay. The Ketores and the Shemen are burnt up, and the Avnei Meluyim and the Shoam, they're in the big Tikkunah. So there's nothing there, but they are in the Mishkan. So they actually don't have any chelik in the Mishkan except the machzah shekel in the Adonim. It's the only thing, not everybody had to give machzah shekel. But the idea is, more than that, they don't have in there. So they have nothing. Everybody else has a chelik in the rest of the Mishkan. Why didn't they have it? Because they were cheap? No, they weren't cheap. They gave the $1 million. or the millions of dollars. And then they said, you know, anything you're missing, just tell us, we'll write you a blank check. Well, we gave you the blank check, but you have to, only if you need it. They didn't need it. You weren't part of it. They did it without you, right? What was the yichus? The yichus, you thought, oh, the Klal Yisrael is definitely not going to come across, so we're going to come across, right? And how do you, the best friend you can ever give an executive director is, I'll give you a blank check. Or it can be better than that, right? No, that's not good enough. The reason that I believe this is what it means in the thing there, that they came, that there's 2 days, they came, it is that what do you need today for what you're making? We don't need storage, you don't need a bank account, we don't need anything else. What do you need for today? And therefore you don't need an executive director. The only reason you need an executive director is because I got to borrow from here, I got to need it for there, I got to make sure I can pay it back, I have to notice the money, that's why you need it. What happens if I have what I need when I need it, I don't need anybody. And that's why, in a way, if I remember correctly, was the reason that the Japanese were able to overtake America in the car business. Why? Because they were able to produce it for much cheaper than the Americans did. Why were America, okay, labor costs, okay, you're tying the labor costs, but you're making Japanese cars in America too. You're not making just to make them in Japan. And so therefore, like, how come they're selling still for cheaper than the American cars? The simple is, let's say, what do you call it? Not American Motors, General Motors. General Motors owns 20 companies. They make engines, they make brakes, they make generators, they make the outside of the car, they make whatever they make. There's 20 different companies. And each company produces 20 or 40 hours a week, whatever they're producing. And how many cars can you build in a day, right? Oh, we built 1,000 cars a day. Okay, 1,000 cars a day. I don't need 1,500 motors. But you built 1,500 motors. What am I going to do with the other 500 motors? I'm going to store it in a thing. Oh, but to store it in a warehouse, you have to build a warehouse. So I have to build a warehouse. I build a warehouse, I have to hire now patrolmen to make sure that nobody breaks into the warehouse. And stuff like that. So every one of my companies has a warehouse and guards and everything else. The Japanese only built as much as cars they're building today. That's how many motors were brought, how many brakes were brought, how many, what do you call it, batteries were brought, whatever it is there, all the things there, they had just what they needed. That means the other companies maybe worked very little. Like that I can't answer you. Yes, the kasha, is it cost effective that way? Obviously it is. I don't have to store anything, I don't have to pay anything, and maybe the same company can make 3 or 4 different items. That I can't answer you. But I don't know how they did it, but that's how they did it. That's what they did. Okay. Then you come into the Mishkan. Okay. You make it out of 10 yerias, and they have a design, and there's the sides to it, each yeria, and you attach them 5 and 5. You hook them together to get 10. They'll hold together with 10, but they're 2 5-piece yerias of whatever it is, they're 4.5 by. There's 4 amas, and they're long 28 amas. Okay, and that's each one. And you have 10 of them, so it's 20 amas by 28 amas. Okay, and you make it into look like what do you call it? Angels, like kruvim, whatever they look like, whatever that is there. Okay. And again, you have pure gold holding these things together. They're going to stretch, they're going to break, they're going to whatever it is, or they don't break, they stretch. So, l'chayre, it's not going to hold. How do you do it? That's not negeg. Get the nisim all over the place. And then on top of this, you're going to put Urias, which is going to be bigger than the Mishkan. So it's going to be 30 amas and by 4, and so it's going to be bigger. Okay. And then you have on top of that even, you have whatever, I guess that's a beautiful color, red, whatever what the Troshim look like, and whatever it is wonderful. Who ever saw the Mishkan? You can't see from the outside because you got a cover on it. The only ones that will see it are the Kehanim that go in to do the Avodah inside, which is minimal, right? You have the ones that light the Menorah, light the Ketayas, and that's it. And the Kohen Gadol on Yom Kippurim, and that's it. Who's going to see it? What's the point? Obviously, it's not made for your view or my view. It's made for the beauty, for HaKadosh Baruch Hu, what it represents, what it has to do, and so on. And we'll see later in Parshas Pikudei that they even had to put it up first. And that we'll see why then. Okay. Then you make, it says you make kosher. After you do this, you make the kosher. The koshim are the beams that are going to hold the Mishkan in place. The Mishkan is going to be the ceiling, not the roof. The roof is the probably the koshim. But there's under that is the iris izim, and then you have first the Mishkan. So that's the ceiling really that you see from the inside. You don't see from the outside. Okay. You need 20 you need 20 on a side. So it's each one is an amen and a half. So that's how big the Mishkan was. Okay. 30 amas, and what do you call it? Divide it into 20 and 10, and whatever it is there. And then you put a curtain in the middle, and that was the Kodesh Kadoshim and the Kodesh. In the Kodesh Kadoshim was only the Aron, and the Aron was, like I said, in width, with its 2 poles sticking into the curtain, that you can see it from the outer side. That was important that they see it, that they know it's there, whatever it is. In the Mishkan, in the other half, in other words, the Kodesh part, you had the Menorah and the Shulchan, which the Menorah was to the south, which that represents Torah. When you daven Shemoneh Esrei, if you daven southeast, then what's going to happen is your children are B'nai Torah. If you daven northeast, then your children are rich. That's you basically divides the two idea of it. But richness for Avodas Hashem. Now to say that, there's more Avodas Hashem with Torah and stuff like that, it could be. It may be you're more involved in the actual business of it, about the work that's involved with being about Stokya. As far as I think it's a very hard job, probably harder than being a Ben Torah. Ben Torah, you got to sit and learn all day, but there's a lot of fun in it. There's yishmak, there's a challenge, and you feel good when you learn. A Gevir has to spend all this time giving out his money. Otherwise, he's got to be sitting and learning. He's not on there for vacation time. He's there, you got to do mitzvahs, or you got to go out and learn. That's what you got to do. So he has a responsibility to support everybody. That means he sits around, and there are gevirim like that we talk about, that actually, let's say Shabbos night, which is a family night maybe, or call it for the kids, Avis Ubonim night. And with the wives and the ones who are not up to the Avis Ubonim, they'll take their wife out for the night. Something like that. And this guy sits giving out stokke to a lineup of people, a few hundred people. You know what it means to write a check, a couple 100 checks? Writing 50 hurts my hand. So 100, I'm sure, really hurts his hand. And he's not involved with his family. He's not involved with the kids, not learning with the kids. He's sitting there waiting for people to come to think that that's his job. His job is to do stokke. And that's a pretty tough job. Mm-hmm. You can talk which one has more family life, that I can't answer you. But neither one has the go on vacation 24 hours a year, 12 months a year. Okay. And then you made the way to form that somehow the Adonim are going to be we'll talk about what they paid for it and that later on. Masa shekel, we'll talk kisisa probably more. The Adonim came out to an equal amount of money, just enough. Where they had a kikar la'odin, that's 3,000 silver, what do you call for each odin? And this came from the Machzah shekel, because things there. And they had extra for what they needed with Zipiso, for the outside pillars that they needed. And this was the base of the thing. You're in the middle of a desert. Well, how you put up a binyan in there? So you got to have, like, the beams to be standing on something to hold the beams up. That's the beams. So the beams were in the silver sockets. The sockets were like the base. And what do you call it? And therefore, it formed a straight beam and whatever it is. Okay, and here again you had in this the Briach Kitza, the one that's in the middle there. That it bent. The Briach HaTichon, you had one beam, one rod that held the beams together that went to all four sides. That means the wood had to bend in order to do that, right? Wood is wood bend, right? So obviously you had again Nisim. Now, so everybody constantly saw Yad Hashem. No, they always saw there's a God in the world, because these things can't happen. They're not natural. They're not normal. So this is the thing. So it always kept the religion there, that everyone understood that. Okay. Then it came to making the Mizbeach. Now, the Mizbeach, there's a machlekes in the Gemara. Is it 3 chamesh ames roichav revua yeh Mizbeach v'sholosh ames komosei? So it's only 3 ames high. 3 ames is approximately the size of a human being. Right? It's less than 6 feet. That's usually without the head. And the head is above that. So you can have the 6 footers in there, guns good. But it's 3 feet. Inches wise will be approximately 60 inches. That you would have till the shoulder, which is 5 feet, and then you got the head. So you got your 6 feet or 50, at least a 5'9". You want to put it in the head is about 9 inches for such a guy. So approximately. That's how tall the average person was. Very nice. Okay. That's the height. Now, if that's the only height, so you want to carry it, so it tells us that you're making the corners, They put in things. It was hollow. It was a hollow thing that they filled it with sand when they came to whoever they made the Mokum HaMikdash, but they carried it on a thing. So that's not so bad. It's 6 feet tall. Where would I put it? I would put it near the bottom because it's as tall as a person, so you would go down much and you can carry it. You can hold it. In other words, it would be half or 2/3 down, let's say. So you have it on it. But there's a mandiyoma that holds that it's 3 on top of 10. That's 13 amas. Now 13 amas high, so how do you carry it? I don't know. It doesn't make too much sense. Obviously, again, in this, how would you balance it? That's the question. Where would you put the koshim? Okay. So you put out chatzim. Okay. So you have. Let's see. Okay. Then he made the chutzah. The chutzah basically was where the Mishkan stood and where the Mizbech HaChitzon stood. Right? It was 100 by 50. And they had, it was like curtains, the thing, Dalton. And there were 20 amas, 5 amas apart, whatever it is there, or every curtain, every beam, or every pole that supported it, and whatever it is there. And it has a very strange, arrangement, if you want to say, of how you had to build a Mishkan. What did it say here? Doesn't say it here, but oh yeah. There's probably in Ya'akov. They made the thing, and they made it like drapes. You know how drapes go. You want it to hang in one place. So what do? They put weights on the bottom of the drapes, and therefore keeps the drape straight. So therefore, the curtains and the Mishkan were also so. If that's the case, what do you need yistos? What were these thing there? They put into the ground. They also kept the curtain down to the ground with a hook. It's hooked into the ground. So you had two things that were involved. You had a hook and you had a weight. Now, why do you need both of them for? The Shivas Atzal, they said, I think probably said it over there more than here, was that there was a difference to the type of yid you're dealing with. We're talking about the Mokum HaMikdash, which is the Chotzah, which is Machne Kahuna. That will be Machne Via, really, and the soil will be outside. But it's kedusha. You can't tell me mess can't be in there. The guns of business that it's a holy place. How do you remain holy? How does a person remain holy? So usually there are two types of people. There's a person that he can't do it by himself. He needs environment. I got to live in a Jewish neighborhood. I got to live from a Yidden. I got to live in a neighborhood where there's a yeshiva, where there's a mikveh, where there's a shul, whatever it is there. I think there was, the conservatives, they were not to drive on Shabbos, the shul. It's only the shul, they can't drive on Shabbos, Namaste. The guy before now, so I think it's in a way the last guy before now, that was the head of them, he retired, Sorsh was his name. He said the biggest mistake conservatives have made was to be mata driving to shul on Shabbos. It should have been also. Now, what did he mean? He didn't explain what he meant, but this is what I think he meant. Conservatism basically now is dead. I mean, they have a few adherents that still believe in it, but whoever they got, they're selling out like crazy, and they're falling apart. There's nothing there. Okay, the Reform at least have a bunch of goyim, but the conservatives have nothing. Why? Because you were able to drive to shul on Shabbos. So you had a young guy who's being successful in business. Why should I live on the east side? Or there was no conservative places on the east side, really, so I can't see that. Or in the sections where there was conservatism in New York or around New York. Why should I live there? Let me live up in where the Richies live, because I can agree with them. But it's a 50-mile drive. Oh, it's an hour. Okay, I got to drive into town an hour. Okay, I'll drive. You're allowed to drive to shul on Shabbos. I don't have to live near the shul. What was their cheshbon? The cheshbon, Eslas Hashem Mifel Toyosecha. It's more important that a Jew marries a Jew, and the shul will become the social venue for couples, and therefore they'll marry Jews. If they lived away from them, if they weren't allowed them to drive to shul on Shabbos, they'll marry goyim. So they won't come to shul, they'll marry goyim. So therefore, but it also gave them the ability to live further away from the shul. So by living further away, I live 50 miles away. And the first Shabbos, I'm going in, maybe I make it the first Shabbos. Second Shabbos, it snowed. The third Shabbos, my battery was dead. My fourth Shabbos, something else happened. The fifth Shabbos, I don't go anymore. And he stopped driving, coming to shul. And who did they marry? The sheiks across the street. So they all disappeared. They're not there. The Yid, the former Yid, why is he still around? Because we had to live together. We needed a yeshiva, we needed a shul, we needed a mikveh, we needed everything else. So that's where we lived, within walking distance. So therefore we were still here, because the ones you met were the former Yid and the girls and the former this and the former that. That's real. That's one type of Jew. And I say that's, what do you call it? He needs a society, he needs a group. And I know there's a lot of Gayus organizations that have in their, what do you call it, when they give the Gayus one, the Tanoima, they have to move to a Jewish neighborhood. Because they don't want them living in a non-Jewish neighborhood, then they'll go back to where they came from. They're not going to hang on there. So I make it a Tanai. Can they make these Tanoim or not? I don't know, because it doesn't say anything about these Tanoim. Belamaise, that's what they do. Okay, that's number one, and we see the importance of it. Then there's the Jew that has the weight. It hangs straight, very simply, because I hold steady, I hold fast. I don't shake back and forth. So I don't shake back and forth. I have the keches hanefesh to able to accomplish this. Of course, the question always is, how do you get the keches hanefesh to do that? In other words, why doesn't everybody have the keches hanefesh? Why only we talk about only yechidim that have the keches hanefesh? I guess, in a way, you have to have the keches hanefesh, but you also have to have a commitment. Yaakov Avinu, what did Yaakov Avinu do? Was his Elokei Yaakov? That he should live with the Gashmis. In other words, he sleeps to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He eats to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And all these things, but I have to do the Gashmis too. And the Gashmis I can enjoy. But I'm only allowed to eat what I need to eat to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I can't eat extra. The only heter to eat extra would be if I do like Pirkei Avos says to do. That Gimel Sheochlu Uteira B'neihem, and you have Torah, so they're eating Shulchan Hashem, Shulchan God. The din is when you eat kachim, there's no shiur how much you're supposed to eat. You're supposed to eat, there's not supposed to be any nicer left. Just keep eating and eating and eating. It doesn't make a difference. You're eating kachim. You're eating mishulchan gavoya. When you're eating, it's the same thing. If I'm eating food that's going to keep me talking in Torah, that's what it says, Gimel, Sheochlu, and Tifel Torah B'neihem. So we're going to keep talking. Have some chocolate, have some ice cream, have malteds, have who cares what you have. Just sit there and talk and learning. Who cares? And therefore you can have all the things you want. But if you're not, then the din is whatever I need, I have. After that, I'm on my way. So it says Yaakov Avinu said not so poshut. I can't accept this until I test it first. So he says, if I'll go back, Shafti l'shalom or beisovi. Now in Rashi says b'lichet. In other words, what is the hardest problem of a person doing that? Is to stop. It's enough. I can't stop. Another bite. There's just another bite left. What do I go? Leave it for nothing? I mean, then I want to finish it. Finish it. That is, you can't eat. I don't know if I can do it. If I can do it, Shafti the shalom b'lichet, l'beisovi b'lichet, then I'll take on this base of Lekei Yaakov. I'll make it a little Kim. But I also said, I'll give you Maisa. Kasha, what do you got to give Maisa? So you see, what's the point of Maisa? You can say to God, God, whatever you want to give me, and I want to give Asa Asar Allah, I'll tell you a better deal. Why don't you just give the guy 10% and give me 90? And I don't have any obligation on my head. I don't have to keep worrying, did I give enough and didn't I give enough? And or what you're not allowed to give more than enough. Leave me alone. Just give me my chelik and that's it. Why did you want to be involved in the giving? Because to be able to do this, you have to have kiruv from the rabbis, from the Rosh Yeshivas, from the people who need the tzedakah, that they to do things for Klal Yisrael. And therefore, Asa Son Allah, what does it mean I'm going to give you? Who you? Whatever the places that are called you in this world, the shul, the Knesset, the Medrash, that's the place I'm going to give the money to. And therefore, what's going to be? I'm going to be an important partner to the Rosh Yeshiva, to the Rav, to whatever it is there. And because of that, he's going to be Mekarev me. And he's Mekarev me, then I'll be able to live this way, this undertaking, this chumrah of only be able to do what I need. So good, I could hold myself tight, but you still have to have some kind of siyua. You have to have something. You know, the thing that you can't just be like there's people that take it needs constant. Okay, I don't need constant, but I do need something, and stuff like that. Because ultimately, I think we would deteriorate to the point of Mitzrayim that everybody is an individual. Everybody does what they think they have to do, their own attitude, their own explanation. That was the Memtes Shari Tumah. They weren't in Memtes Shari. They didn't do Memtes Averis. They were solving the problems their own way, and because they solved the problems their own way, they landed into trouble sometimes. And that's the first der of the der HaMidbar. The thing there, the Yitzim Mitzrayim, that everything they kept arguing with Moshe, everything about everything. Because why? Because we had a different way of doing things. We have a different one. Everyone had a title to his opinion. Everyone had a thing. They were more, I guess, independent in that sense of their thought. And because of that, they didn't have that unity that they needed. And so it's not a big mile always. So you do have to have a uniting force, like the yeshiva, the Rav, or whatever it is, to be able to hold the even though you're holding yourself tight, but you have to have your siyua to a certain extent. Anyway, have a good Shabbos, and Freilich and Odel coming to Purim and Yotzer Hashem. Should be a good year.
Have a good Shabbos.